Hello and welcome to Marketing Tech. My name is David Ogletree, and today my special guest is Craig Campbell. Welcome, Craig.
Hi, thank you very much for having me, David.
Well, what is the name of your company? I don't think I've always just known you as Craig Campbell. Do you just go under your name, or do you actually have a company name?
Yeah, well, I mostly go under Craig Campbell SEO. I've got two companies, so I've got my own self-branded company, and I do have an agency called Digital Marketing Scotland, which I don't really talk about much online as such. You know, that's kind of a separate entity. Everyone will know me as just Craig Campbell, the SEO guy.
Right.
Which I'm not sure why, but yeah, it's
Well,
stuck.
I think a lot of us do some local stuff and then some national stuff. I do the same thing. I have some people that are local here in Houston, and I have some people that sell nationally as well.
Yeah.
So my first question, which I always ask everybody, is what is your computer that you use every day? What's called your daily driver, I guess.
My daily driver is just a Mac. It's a modern Mac. I think it's about a year old.
Oh,
But one thing I've had for a number of years is a Mac. You know, I made the transition, I think, about 2012, 2013, when Windows 7 actually, they upgraded to Windows 8, and it really felt like my arms were cut off in terms of productivity. I just lost the will to live when, you know what it's like, you're on your computer, you just know where everything is, and then bang, Windows changed it all. And at that point, I jumped over to a Mac and have stuck with them ever since. And I'm enjoying a Mac a lot better than Windows, that's for sure.
I did something similar about 5 or 6 years ago. I switched I was very staunch PC, and then I noticed doing all my research, because I was trying to build up my pay-per-click company. I found that everything I read had, all the guides had to do with Macs. And so I thought, well, I'll try it out. I can return it, go buy it at Best Buy. I can return it. And I fell in love with it, and I used it for about 5 years. But just the last few weeks, I sold all of my Macs. I had like 4 Macs, and I sold them all because I wanted to get back into video gaming, and Macs really aren't good for that. And so,
Yeah.
you can see the machine behind me. I built that. It's a real high-powered video game machine. And so I did that, and I really do miss it. I'm trying to find. I kind of wish I'd have kept one of them. So now I might buy another one because really whenever being able to send files, AirDrop, I missed that tremendously. And I also miss being able to be on a computer and doing text messages. That was so nice. Now the only way I can pass stuff between machines is to use my network attached storage or email it to myself. And so that's really annoying. And Macs were so handy that way. You could easily just pop things over to between all your machines. Because I had iPhone, iPad, an iMac, MacBook Pro. I had I had all kinds of Macs.
Yeah. But it's amazing. It's like you say, though, you can do your text messaging, your WhatsApp, everything else from the one dashboard. Well, kind of the one dashboard, if you like.
Sure.
But I think small quirky things like that, where maybe not being able to text through your laptop would be a big pain in the ass, and especially for me during the day. Maybe the wife texts, what do you want, or whatever. It's nice to be able to just quickly send that rather than pulling the phone out and then getting trapped into the whole, as we've all probably suffered, this, getting distracted and stuff like that. So, because I normally put my phone face down, and I only really do appointments. If someone wants to phone me, I'll say, right, I'll catch you at 10 o'clock or 11, but I don't like people just phoning me off the cuff, so I can just get on with my stuff. So yeah, that would kill me, having to go back to a phone. But each to their own.
Yeah, one of my biggest problems when I switched to Mac was that I'm a keyboard user. I try not to use the mouse much because I'm legally blind. I was trained early on to we're not trained to use the mouse because we can't see it, and so I used keyboard shortcuts for everything. Also, plus I came from the WordPerfect days, where it literally, before there was a mouse, in the DOS days. And so I had all these things, and when I moved to Mac, they didn't work. I don't know did you run into that, or?
Nah, not really. I can't even remember. The biggest thing for me when I was going to a Mac that sticks in my mind was just that it was small little quirks like the at button when you're typing out someone's email. That used to just drive me crazy. But with other computers, I've never really been a major mouse user anyway. I used to always use, even on Windows computers, just the little kind of touchpad thing. Never been a major mouse user. But yeah, the things that pained me going to Mac was just those stupid little things like the at sign. And I think it probably took me, because I actually thought when I got the Mac, I'm like, shit, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get used to this. But I think perseverance and probably give it 2 weeks is the right way. Well, not the right way, but just, persevere with it and you'll get out the other end.
Yeah, I ended up using a program called Carabiner, like that when you're climbing the little carabiner thing. It was starts with a K, and it basically let me translate my Mac into a PC, so I could basically, all the PC commands were on my Mac, so that helped me to do that a lot. So you were saying you have a fairly new Mac. Is it the one with the little screen on the keyboard?
Yeah, the kind of touch bar thing. Yeah.
Do you ever use that?
You know what?
I've never asked anybody that.
Never in my life have I used it. Never. Like, if I can show you the camera now, it's there, and all it says is share screen, leave, and stuff like that. But it's never in my life have I used it. It's just there for show. It looks good, but if you're ever going to upgrade a Mac, just to have that touch bar, don't. It doesn't really do that much. It really doesn't do that much. It basically replaces the F keys. So
yeah.
Do you need that? Nah.
Do you? How much memory do you have in that Mac?
32 gig. So I'm the type of guy, when I'm buying a Mac, when you're buying it on the Apple Store or whatever, they ask you what the top memory is, and it's just one of those gadgety guys. I just want to have the biggest memory, and do I even come close to using that memory? Absolutely not. And I know now, if you're going to get a new Mac, you can get up to 64 gig. If you pay an extra $800 or whatever it is. But yeah, the 32 gig one purely for no real reason.
Well, as far as memory, it's actually very rare for anybody to use more than 16. Even gamers, even my when I read about high-end gaming machines, 16 is the most you're going to need unless you're a streamer or something like that. The people who might need it are people who are, using Adobe products and who use them quite, with large files, like if you're doing 4K or 8K video or something and editing and doing large Photoshop type of things. But generally speaking, very few people use over 16. It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
So as far as is Chrome your main browser?
Yeah, Chrome is the old favorite. I just don't like Safari. It's just garbage.
I've never used it
around for years, and I'm more of a kind of old habit kind of guy, and just having my things bookmarked and stuff like that. Chrome is the perfect one, and it's the one I've used for since it came out, probably. So yeah, I'm a creature of habit. That's the first thing I install, Chrome.
Yeah, I remember when Chrome came out, I looked at it a little bit, but I couldn't use it because they didn't have extensions when it first came out. You remember that?
Yeah.
So I still used Firefox back then because, I used that web developer, and you used that one too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was I couldn't live without the web developer extension. I use it all the time. And until they moved that over, I switched to Chrome when they finally added decent extensions. I didn't use it immediately because I needed those extensions.
The extensions are handy, and obviously I think from a SEO guy's background, obviously we had Firefox, and whatever prior to Chrome, and all of the kind of cool things that you could do with Firefox, whether it was, one of the favorites I used to do with Firefox was downloading YouTube videos onto my desktop and whatever. And yeah, so these extensions are important, and we all use them for different little quirks. But yeah, the extensions that I use for my day-to-day stuff are all working fine. And yeah,
Which ones do you use? What are like the main ones you use pretty often?
So let me go through my extensions. I've got Grammarly for Chrome. I've got a email signature called YStamp, which is a Chrome extension. I've also got a Chrome extension called Contact Out, which if I go to LinkedIn and I'm not connected with someone, I can quickly get their email address. I've got a color picker, LastPass. I've also got a cool thing for Gmail. It's called Follow Up CC. Now, what this basically allows me to do is it puts on the right-hand side of my emails, if someone's opened an email, when they opened it, but I can also schedule my emails to go out. And, say, for example, I'm working on a Sunday night and just catching up with some emails and whatever. You can schedule your emails to go out in the Monday, the Monday morning or whatever, Monday afternoon. And I think that's quite important. And people may say, why the hell does he do that? But I think sometimes if you email people and let them know that you're working on a Sunday night, they may be in future more inclined to bombard you on a Sunday, expecting a response on a Sunday. So I always try, and that might actually not be a thing, but just in my head, that's a thing. And so I normally always schedule emails. If I'm doing stuff at the weekend, which we all do, I'm pretty sure if we're bored, I will use the email scheduling. And it also allows you to do some follow-up sequences as well. So if I send you a message saying, David, can I come on your podcast or whatever it may be, and you don't reply to me, after 5 days, you can automate that and say, David, I've asked you, did you miss my email? let me on your podcast. So it's got a cool couple of little features like that. But I've got a couple of other things, like I've got a friend remover Chrome extension, which I use in Facebook. And basically what it does is scrapes Facebook. It scrapes people who don't regularly interact with my Facebook posts. And it allows me to then be able to go on and delete them and obviously purge the garbage off of the Facebook profile. And I've got a couple other wee bits and bobs there as well, just to do wee bits and pieces of work, but nothing major on there, to be honest. There's nothing hugely exciting. There's probably quite a boring set of tools to use, but yeah, they work for me.
I think probably the most common would be, of course, the Google Analytics tester. I use that. You use that one?
Nah.
Because I always use that for when I'm troubleshooting a website. Because I do a lot of troubleshooting in pay-per-click, because I mainly do pay-per-click now, and a lot of times I have to troubleshoot if conversion tracking is working, or if analytics is actually installed or working correctly, and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I use another one called Link Clump. You ever heard of that one? What it does is you select it when you turn it on. You select a bunch of links, and then when you let go, it opens up all those in a tab. So you can, like, if you have a page of stuff you want to look at, and then you go through them and close them one at a time, and as you need them or whatever. It's real handy. It's called Link Clump.
Link Clump. I'm going to take a note of that actually and check that out.
I used that a lot when I used to do Salesforce, because I needed to go through a list of things, and so that way I could tell I finished those things, and then when I got done, I'd hit next page and then open them all up again. Instead of doing them one at a time, it was a lot easier.
Yeah, it
was pretty handy. So how many tabs do you have open at any given time?
Now that is the $1 million question. Probably I try and I'd like to say I only have 3 or 4 open at any one time, but as we all know, that massively increases as the day goes on. And regularly have 10 plus tabs open. I'm just a messy worker, and and I think I don't know if everyone else is like me actually. Maybe it'd be unfair for me to assume that, but I can be doing something, reading an email 1 minute, then something will pop in my head and I'll go and check it, then I'll go back to the email, then another email will come in and I'll open up stuff, and then before you know it, 10 things are open, and you're like, shit. But what I like, the way I get my head around this is like the email tabs are my workflow. So I'll open up things that I've got to do. So if I'm trying to prompt myself to do something in YouTube, for example, I'll open the YouTube tab and I'll open this, that, and the next thing, and then I'll close them as I go through my to-do list. So psychologically, I'm using it. Well, I like to tell myself I'm using it as a workflow method, but I'm probably kidding myself on.
Yeah, well, it's actually a pretty low sample size, but the people I've talked to so far, that's pretty low. Like Steve Wiedemann,
Really?
he had 70 to over 120 or something. It was some ridiculous number. And
Oh,
and I've seen screenshots from Christine as well, and she'll have, 3 rows. I mean, just like, I forget, just some ridiculous amount of them. And
my
hopefully,
brain
huh?
could not cope. My brain couldn't cope with that. That I thought I was a messy worker. I mean, that would blow my brains, having 70 tabs open. Absolutely blow my. I would die.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think 10 is the most I ever have open. I try to keep it to 5 or 6. If I needed more, I would actually probably open up a different type of browser and have them over there, because they get to a certain size, they're useless at that point. I need them to be at least a certain size so I could tell what the heck
yeah,
they
yeah,
are.
yeah.
Because I look at the little icon it's on it and stuff, so I can kind of tell, this is control panel, this is Google, this is CNN, or whatever it is. I
Yeah.
can see from the little logo. Of course, I can't see the logo, I just see a color. I do a lot of what I call blur interpretation. I literally can't see certain things, but I've seen it enough times that I know what that blur is. I couldn't tell you, if I've never seen it before, I couldn't tell you what it was, but because of
Yeah.
experience, I can tell you what it is. And so that's how I'm able to function at such a high level, is that, I was born this way. And so I've always learned to deal with, just working around my handicap and figuring out how to deal with that kind of thing.
Your brain must process really fast though, if you because obviously we're using like the Google Chrome sign to be able to do it, whereas you're only seeing a percentage of that or a blur. So yeah, your brain must be super
Well,
sharp.
it's funny. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. I also have ADD, which in some ways is helpful in that particular situation, because my brain is ping ponging all the time. Just like, it's like I have 5 TVs in my head going at fast forward all the time with my ADD. So I've been learning a lot about ADD recently, and so I'm getting a better control of it. And I think a lot of SEOs. I mean, I know when I go to conferences, I know at least 5 people I can go if I forgot my Adderall. I know 5 people I can go ask. We all,
Yeah.
a lot of us have that. But yeah, it's hard to stay on track sometimes, and the Adderall helps with that a lot. I saw a cartoon the other day that said, or just a meme, and it was from an ADHD group I'm in, and it said, here's a normal person taking Adderall. Oh, I built a thing on the back of my house and did all this long list of things. And then the ADD person says, I took Adderall and I went to work on time and I only had to wash the same thing of clothes twice, so so it helps us to just be normal. That's
Yeah.
why a lot of people think that, it's just legal speed. Well, for a normal person, true, that is correct. But for us, it's not really legal at that point. But for us, it actually, I heard a doctor say that we have a sleepy brain, and the frontal lobe is sleepy. And so the Adderall wakes that up. And if you don't use the Adderall, you'll try to find other ways to wake up your brain by using caffeine or alcohol or drama. They say a lot of people, untreated ADD can be a problem, because it can create, you create drama to wake up your brain. And so it was very interesting. I learned that recently. I had kind of a tangent there, but
Yeah. Interesting.
so I talked to a lot of SEOs. What is your focus? Are you a link builder, or are you just an all-around SEO or an auditor, or what is your focus in SEO?
It's hard to say right now. Right now, I mean, primarily back when I used to have my own agency and stuff, I would have probably said my strongest thing, and the thing that interested me the most, was a link builder. I would have been seen as a link builder. But, I've been in this industry 18 years, and, I would give myself the credit, and you'll be the same as well. We had to do everything for ourselves back then. You weren't just an auditor. As an SEO, you were expected to audit, look at this, look at that, and do everything. So generic SEO is something I would consider myself, just because of the length of time, back in the day, learning on forums and all of that kind of stuff, that, we weren't segmenting ourselves into being the link builder guy or whatever. We'd done everything, as I'm sure you did. And
Yeah.
but in recent times, I gave up the agency game pretty much 5 years ago, because clients were just grating on my nerves, and I didn't really have the right structure or the right setup for an agency. I was just a young guy at the time when I started the agency, who found himself good at SEO, and before I knew it, I had an agency. It wasn't something I actually set out to do. And for me, managing people, managing clients, and I actually built myself into the business, whereas I should have took myself out of the equation and worked on the business. So I didn't do any of that and had an agency. But now, because of all those mistakes and the pains and the stress and everything else, I'm all about delegation and working smartly now. And so would I consider myself still a link builder? Yeah, I still love links and, all of that stuff. But a lot of that stuff is outsourced or delegated onto someone else now. So, I concentrate a lot on affiliate marketing or buying and selling digital assets. I buy a website because I'm old enough and wise enough now to know what it takes to rank a website. And, if I can spot a website that's had great on page, but the guy just doesn't have a clue about anything else, then I'll buy that up, add my stuff into the mix, and then flip it on at a massive profit. And that's something I've been doing a lot of in the last 5 years. So I would say I'm more turning into
all around kind of guy.
all round kind of guy for sure. And listen, I appreciate link builders and everything else, but you won't catch me doing cold outreach or anything like that these days. It's just you've got to weigh up whether the time against the my time put on that is worth it, or you can delegate that stuff out at a much lower cost. And so an all-round guy, I would say I am now.
Yeah, I did a lot of that similar stuff. Matter of fact, doing the buying and selling and affiliate linking. I actually had a link building company for a short period as well, back in 2012 or something, like 11 or 12. But I did so well in the affiliate marketing originally, actually back in the late 2000s or early mid 2000s to late 2000s. I actually retired and just didn't do anything for about 5 years because the affiliate marketing went really, really well. But I made the bulk of my money back in 2003, right before the Florida update. You remember that one?
Yeah. That was very early in my SEO career. But yeah,
mine too.
But yeah, there's updates that stick out. Florida, and then what else was there? There was just countless amounts.
That's the big one. But yeah, there was the -50 thing, and then there was a big duplicate content scare for a while, and then
and then you had all that penguin panda garbage.
Yeah, I was kind of retired during that period, so I'm a little lacking in my penguin and panda knowledge. But yeah,
it's that's just when I think that's when the game changer for me, when SEO, but prior to all that, it was a case of using the right tools and knowing what to do and spamming the shit out of it, basically. But I think from then it's been a steep, I wouldn't say a steep learning curve, but things have evolved massively, and it's just that bit harder now. So, but yeah, I wish the old days were still there. It was good fun.
Did you ever spend time doing, kind of side projects or even main projects doing black hat to discover white hat techniques? Did you ever try that technique?
I mean, it's not what I would call a technique as such. I mean, I've done a lot of black hat testing.
And sometimes it's accidental, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, that worked really well, so I could take that out and it's not that spammy and add it to what I would call. So yeah, probably it's just not. I wouldn't have termed it that. But listen, I try everything, anything I see out there. I don't really think too much about what hat's on or whatever, because I think that's a whole. If you're going to be doing client work in the agency game, I get why people have to be, be careful what they're saying and what they do and what they're saying they do and all that stuff. But for me, I just try shit out that works. And of course, the job is not to go out and get anything penalised or banned. Sure. But I like trying new techniques and, trying stuff out that may be really shady, but just stealing little bits of it, as you say, and add it to the next website so that, we've got more longevity with it.
Right. Well, sometimes it can, black hat can accelerate white hat testing is what I found. And some that you can, because you can use a black hat technique that's just working at that moment and rank something really high, and then use another technique that's actually considered white hat inside that, because you can accelerate the process, kind of like, when you're doing, like when scientists test on animals that have a short lifespan, like fly, I forget the kind of flies or worms they use, but they can easily test something because it can quickly, the lifespan is so short, and then they have babies in the lifespan, that kind of thing. And so you can use black hat to accelerate some white hat testing is what I was talking about.
Yeah. No, listen, I've done it as well, where I've used black hat-ish kind of tactics on a project and then switched stuff around. Like I've used a mass page builder, for example, not in a massive scale, like tens of thousands of pages, but a condensed mass page builder campaign where I built 300 pages, went after loads of areas, and then went back over it. And any of the kind of major pages that were making money, I've just got them done properly. So, obviously, mass page builders still do work, in crappy areas, non-competitive niches.
Sure.
But you can do things like that to get early traffic and stuff like that, and then go back over them. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Originally, when I made a lot of my money was doing what they call Mad Lib. You remember that technique? So I would basically, well, back then they had a thing called Overture, where you could do research, keyword research, real keyword research, and that would tell you what each keyword was worth. And it was amazing data. It's not available like that anymore, but I mean, it's similar to SEMrush, I guess now, but it was actually from Yahoo and from their actual search engine. So it was actually really accurate data. And so I did that and researched and found out the most highest paying keywords. And then I would have a list of 10,000 keywords. And then I would use those keywords to generate 10,000 pages, using, I guess they call it spinning content or Mad Lib or a combination of the two. And you would generate 10,000 pages, and it ranked really well, because you would just, all you had to do was buy a high PR website back in 2003 and boom, it ranked for everything. So
yeah,
that was a lot of fun back then.
I wish I could turn the clock back just for a while, just to go back and annihilate everything for what it really was worth, because we could have all made so much more money back then as well if we just got off our lazy asses and done it properly, because people were making good money, and
I did.
you made a lot of money, but could you have made that 10 times more that amount of money? Of course you could have. And obviously now you're like, shit, this job's getting harder. It's it's not as easy as it was. I wish I could have just broke the internet back then and sailed off into retirement. But I think that defeats the purpose in what we do, because I think that every SEO I know just likes the challenge and likes the fight of being able to just do stuff online. And I'm not sure any SEO could really retire and just give it up altogether. I think that itch would come back, which I'm going to assume happened to you. When you said you retired for a bit, and then you're just like, fuck, I need to get up to no good again, and mingle with your old chums and all of that kind of stuff, and see what's happening.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming to hanging out with me today. It's been a lot of fun. This is Craig Campbell, and I'm David Ogletree, and thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure's all mine.
All right. Bye-bye.
Cheers.